Hello, Grant and Matt. I wanted to share with you just a couple of configurations that I have entertained in my mind that would allow for pole vaulting and long jumping and high jumping, such things to take place in the space that we have. Uh, and of course, I can't answer one big question, and that's whether or not the two of you will choose to install a basketball floor at the end of that corridor. I have drawn these first two configurations based upon the theory that there will be basketball there, and I've allowed 46 feet for that to happen. Grant, I think you said something like 45 feet, but if we allowed 2 feet on either end of the 3-point line, and this would go all the way across the gym, that would be a 46-foot beginning piece. So the pole vault pit in configuration A would butt up right against the spring floor. And in the event that we wanted high jumping to happen here, I have the high jump pad stored vertically on edge right over here on the side, which helps us keep the kids safe pole vaulting, and also keeps them totally out of the way when we're not using them. In this configuration, the high jump pit would get moved over temporarily and placed on the basketball floor right here. Although this would be a little bit less than ideal for space. Probably faster athletes like Daniel would want a couple of more feet of approach room. This would only give Daniel about a 34, 36 foot approach, and he's probably a little bit bigger than that. Anyway, so the pole vault pit is here. These green lines designate just a reminder that if these were the 20-foot wide beams, in the ceiling, we would need for those beams to be nowhere near the planting box area. So we have to place this takeoff position a little bit respectfully of where those beams are, so that we have maximum ceiling height in this area, which is the apex of our height. Anyway, so against the wall over here would be a pole rack. And in this little space here, between the long jump pit and the pole vault pit, it's about 15 feet of room or so. I would dangle our rings and trapeze system, whatever Charlie and I figure out would be the most efficient way to have kids learning how to swing right here. The long jump pit is against the wall, 10 feet by 20. And then out goes the wood runway that sits above the ground. And all of this sits above the ground. This is a 2x10 frame. This runway for the pole vault pit is only on the turf. There is nothing in the way here. I put little examples. I built this upside down, sorry. These are little miniature hurdles that I would use for running mechanics drills for the pole vaulters out in this area during our practice sessions. What else? The pit is 27 feet long. It is 21.5 feet wide like this, and that puts the location of planting box 18 feet and 6 inches from the spring floor. The rest of this space here and all the way through, of course, out to the back of the road there is wide open, and when we're not pole vaulting, which is most of the time, all of that turf space remains open, and only this little section of runway and the long jump pit are in the way. Configuration 2 is if we wanted to leave the high jump pit down in a permanent way. I've shifted a little bit, so the basketball floor remains right where it is. This is 46 feet from the wall, and then here comes the high jump pit first. And this high jump pit is 24 feet long and 10 feet deep here and 12 feet deep at the center. So that's the actual shape of it, and these would be the standards. This would give a permanent home to the high jump pit and more approach space for better athletes like Daniel or older decathletes to learn the high jump here. And it's centered so that kids could approach from either side on the basketball floor. Out comes the pole vault pit again, as before. Same configuration, a little space here for the pole rack and rings. And the long jump pit is against the wall with the above the ground runway shooting back like that. Once again, all turf here is wide open, and these perhaps we spray paint a little something here, perhaps we don't, but this is open turf all the time. I have another configuration to suggest. Where did it go? Look for pictures, and this is if We don't use a gym floor. If there is no gym floor, just a thought I threw out at you guys to consider is making the first 20 feet of the back of the gym available with nets hanging at this wall and nets hanging on this wall for throwing area. That means that, you could have a discus ring on the floor here, throwing against this wall, a shot put ring over here on this end, throwing against nets over here, and then you could have a pretty spacious corridor here for javelin perhaps to get thrown where the shot put goes. So that could just an idea. If there was going to be a throw coach here eventually working with athletes, this would be a good use of that space. So the pole vault pit starts 20 feet away rather than 45 feet away, and every other configuration is the same here with the long jump pit against the wall. It's the most efficient way. The high jump pits, when not in use, would be stored as before, stacked against the wall here, or they could be permanently situated. The only place that high jumping would work in this configuration would be out on the opposite end. The high jump pit could go against that wall on the other end up there. And the only disadvantage here, if there is no basketball floor, wherever we configure the high jump, would always be a slightly upgrade high jump approach, which would not be ideal, although it would not be unsafe in any way. That's just a couple of ideas I wanted to throw at you guys so that we have some common language to talk about when we, most important, when we bury this darn concrete, this planting box in the concrete. We want to have all this thought out before we do so. Talk to you guys soon.